When you think about CIA and you see what happened with the fellow who was the ISIS, the truck drives into New Orleans on the 1st, and same thing happened, not the same things. An event happens in Vegas, Matt Liversberg, and it's like, wait a minute, why would he be capable of doing that? Guy sends me a message on LinkedIn. And he says, I've known this guy. This is about Matt. This is about the guy that was a Green Beret. And I think Matt even did a History Channel show with Tim Kennedy. I don't know if you saw that or not. So
I saw a clip on X.
Right. I saw a clip as well on X. That's what I saw. So he sends me a message, this guy, and he says, look, I served with this guy. Matt and I were stationed in Germany together. We were both on special forces teams. Our teams trained and worked a lot together. I spent 4 weeks with him in Bordeaux. And in language training program, we drank Bordeaux pretty much every night. His wife came and visit, and he says, he was a good man, a leader, a mentor, and a father. I've spent time with him and his wife. This makes no sense to me. He had to have been targeted, okay? A lot of people are saying this about him. Now, Luigi Mangione, boom, boom, everything is good, right?
Yeah.
And then, but he's missing the last 90 days, so you know when he went and what his motive was. So he had some stuff because he followed libertarians. He followed 70 people on Twitter. I was one of them he followed. But the range of people he followed are...
Well, you must be involved.
Yeah. But the range of people you studied, you would look at and say, hey, okay, those are guys you followed that teach independent, critical thinking. They're not like victimhood. Let me tell you, they're after you. It's not fair, all this other stuff, right? So, you know, you hear MKUltra. Movie came out, MKUltra, not a good movie, but somebody needs to do a good movie on that I think could do well. Yeah, he follows Bobby Kennedy. He follows a bunch of different people, right? Well, Brett Weinstein, we've had him on. He and I spoke the other day. Interesting people that this guy follows. John McAfee is definitely one of the interesting ones. We had him on like 8 years ago. But you see these patterns with events like this happening. John F. Kennedy, where you hear, you know, the shooter comes out and takes a shot and takes out. You know, it's like, wait, how did that happen? What do we not know about CIA and their capabilities? What do we not know? Because what we do know is the stuff that we read about. And you're a guy that's worked intelligence, you know, not intelligence. You did some warfare, spy warfare, and you're training these types of things, the methods. I think there's even a video about you that you made, that 25 ways CIA, you know, trains their agents, whatever it may be. But what is the capability of CIA and their training that we have that we don't know about?
I wouldn't even say it's CIA. I would say the agency that I've seen do a lot more internationally is DIA.
Okay.
But when it comes to MKUltra, this was a scare. MKUltra was a result of people being terrified. This happened in Korea when these American prisoners would go on videotape and say, I hate the United States, it's a bad country, I renounce citizenship and all this kind of stuff. And it was terrifying, and that became, MKUltra was the beginning of a psychological arms race, is what it was. So they started all these experiments to find a truth serum. So they used hypnosis and LSD and all kinds of other drugs. And it was just bizarre, some of this stuff. Bring up, I want you to see the description of this. Can you bring up Project Midnight Climax? You heard of this?
Mm-mm.
So Sidney Gottlieb, who's the director at the time, is getting prostitutes to drug random dudes with LSD. And the scientists are behind a one-way mirror watching them in a hotel room. This is I think it was in San Francisco.
Hires prostitutes to give LSD, and then on the other side, there's somebody watching it?
Yeah.
Okay, so continue.
And that's a lot of what we know is just right there. And they're trying to do all these experiments, and then they're using hypnosis. And then this guy named George Estabrooks comes on the scene. He's a professor at this university called Colgate University in New York. And he wrote a few books about some of this stuff. Yeah, that's him. So I got access to this guy's, Dr. Estabrooks' personal files that were never deleted or part of there was what's called a destruction order from the agency. Right before all these secrets were about to come out, there's something called the Church Committee that was going to take all this stuff out. But right here, this guy had a plan with J. Edgar Hoover to hypnotize and split the personality of a German submarine captain and send this guy back into his port and torpedo the entire German fleet. Incredible plan. So they were experimenting with this personality modification, splitting people. And I can send you all these documents if you're interested in it. Or if you want to just throw them in a link for the show. So
definitely interested in it. So whatever you send, we'll post it below. But personality modification.
Yeah. Splitting.
Personality splitting.
So there's two versions of a person that can be kind of turned on or turned off. So he does it to Army officers called this guy that he named Jones. And there was a Jones A and a Jones B. So he could send Major Jones through enemy territory, but the other personality had all these national secrets. So if Jones A was ever captured, Jones B won't ever come out because the code word and the little activation technique is not being done to bring out that B personality. Does that make sense? So that's a lot of the stuff that was going on. And with a lot of MKUltra led into this new era of propaganda. And this guy comes onto the scene. His name is Edward Bernays. You're familiar? Okay. So he invents propaganda in the United States. He's the reason that we think bacon is part of breakfast. He's the reason that margarine is yellow. He was the reason women smoked Virginia Slims in the 60s, 70s, 80s. There's a million things. He's the reason that the Department of War changed to the Department of Defense. So all of these tiny little things got made. And
possibly the greatest CMO of all time.
Yeah, big time. So he also invented the term public relations so propaganda didn't confuse people. Very interesting guy, probably a bad dude. And he's also Sigmund Freud's nephew. In a weird turn of events. Yeah. And you don't really see that very often when you read about him. So it gets into this. It kind of evolves, and the CIA is going crazy on this mind control stuff. Can we program assassins? This is the end result of this. So I'll tell you what's on record now is they were doing experiments to see if a person could be programmed to kill on command with one of these alter ego identities.
Edward Bernays.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, he's not. This is CIA and George Estabrooks. And
Okay.
these are actually in official documents that were Freedom of Information Act released. So they're doing this huge experiment, and they want to see, can I get a person to go into a room, pull out a loaded gun or one that they think is loaded during these experiments and just fire it at another person. So they start these experiments and they're successful. And they officially, quote, ended these experiments just a few years before Bobby Kennedy got killed in San Francisco by Sirhan.
Just coincidentally, that's when they stopped it.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, that makes sense.
And Sirhan has no memory of the event. And if you look at where Bobby Kennedy was shot, he was shot under the armpit and kind of from behind. All the bullet holes are actually listed out there. This is from our own government's investigation. It just kind of doesn't really match up very well. But Sirhan has no memory of the event. To this day, he says he has no memory. And if you talk, have you had Bobby on?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. If you talk to him about this, he believes that Sirhan should be released.
He wrote a book about this whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did a documentary about it on my YouTube channel. and talked about the hypnosis and how it could be done step by step, how somebody could have done this. I got some of the top hypnotists in the world to come onto that little documentary. It's a micro documentary. But talking about what are the steps that could be taken to get someone to a place where they can do this. So this brings us into PCP, not the drug. The PCP stands for a 3-step process that if I can modify 3 things in your life, I can get you to do anything. If I can modify perception, context, and permission, PCP. And if I just look at that, I'm going to...
Say that again. So
perception.
Perception.
I change the way that you're seeing what's going on right now, which means kind of a domino effect that now I can modify the context and how you see this situation.
Okay.
And then I get
Context.
So
Okay.
how are you seeing this? Like everybody who is, let's say if we're in a business meeting, nobody's going to strip their clothes off and get naked, right?
You've not been in enough business meetings, but
I haven't been in yours.
give me the last P.
Permission.
Permission. Okay.
So it's perception, context, and permission. So
Okay.
the moment that we get home from that business meeting and we're standing in our bathroom, the context is different. So of course I'm going to take my clothes off because I'm getting in the shower. So any behavior is tolerable under some circumstances, and the only thing I've got to manipulate in your life
Right.
is the context. So if I can hypnotize you, I can get you to have another personality. I change your perception of what's going on. I modify context, and I can get you to do whatever I want. There's an attorney in Washington State who did this to his clients for women to get naked into his office. And people say, oh, you can't be made to do anything against your will under hypnosis. Well, it is within their will because it's within that context. So he would hypnotize these women in his office and say, you just got home from a long day at work. You throw your keys in the bowl. You walk into the bathroom. You've got a glass of wine, and now it's time to get into the shower. So now that we get naked because the context changed. If I can modify perception and context, I can justify anything. I can get you to do anything that I want.
So where are you going with this? You're saying the possibility of MKUltra to get them in a state to cause them to kill someone that nothing in the history of their lives, there's never been a pattern that this person was capable of doing something like this independently. No felony, no criminal record. All of a sudden, this person decides to take their lives.
Yeah.
They're able to get somebody to that point of doing something like that.
Yeah. But this is a perfect reflection back to the Milgram experiment. All those were good, decent people. They were school teachers and doctors and all of that, and they committed murder in under an hour. Just because the perception of what's going on changed, the context is way different, and there's permission from an authority figure to do it.
So when you were telling a story on MKUltra, you brought somebody up. Who did you bring up? You brought up
Just now?
Yeah.
Sidney Gottlieb, Dr. George Estabrooks.
No, you brought up somebody that you said Sirhan, and who were we just talking about that actually did this? So do you when you see somebody like a Matt Liversberger on What Happened? Yeah. And Sean Ryan and them and Sam read the email that he sent on the Sunday, right? Or I don't know what the day was.
Yes,
on a previous day. Do you think that's a case of this, or no? That's a different case. He was going through challenging times and he wanted to kind of make a statement with it.
I think it's a different case.
You think what is a case of MKUltra that could be a possibility of MKUltra?
Bobby Kennedy.
What else?
Maybe this Tesla thing that's going on. This Tesla bombing that happened.
Oh, but that's Matt Liversberger. So you think he could be
a victim of something like that? But
could be a victim of MKUltra.
Yeah, but I've worked on deployments with dudes like this, Spec Ops dudes, and I was in Expeditionary Combat Command for the last half of my career. Mm-hmm. No one, absolutely no one that would make it to that community, if they were going to want to cause a bunch of damage, is going to throw a bunch of gas and fireworks in the back of a solid steel vehicle and think that they're going to do a bunch of damage. Nobody. His training is 1,000 times above that. He could have done a lot more damage. Anybody that's been in Special Operations Command or anything like that as tons of education in that stuff.
So dissect it. You said the ID that came out, right? These different things that came out.
Yeah.
Psychoanalyze it. I mean, what do you think happened there?
I don't know. I'm no expert.
What are possibilities? Like maybe it could be this, maybe it could be this, maybe it could be this.
Yeah. I do know that Teslas can be summoned. They can't be driven without someone with their eyes open, because they'll have you ever driven one?
Mm-hmm.
So they'll kind of ping you if you are looking away, if your eyes are closed. But they can be summoned without anyone in the car, or they can be summoned to a place. And I think if this guy was dead before the vehicle pulled up, that's the only way that it could have been done. And it's the only vehicle, maybe, a Tesla might be the only vehicle that you can summon. I'm not very well educated on which vehicles can do that, but it definitely looks like that. And if you've ever have you ever fired a 50 cal?
Mm-hmm.
Not the big boy, but like a 50 cal pistol, that's like a 3-foot fireball. That would have shown up in a video. That's a giant fireball. Huge.
What are you saying?
That would have shown up. So like if he did it right then, that would have definitely been in a video where you could see it through the windows. That's a massive, that's a big round.
Okay, so let me go to a different one here is Proxy. Okay, we've had a lot of, in siblings, Proxy could be siblings instigating a fight. If there's 3 siblings, one instigate a fight between the other 2.
Yeah.
Right? Hey, I think he was wearing your socks today. I think he wore your cologne today. Hey, what do you think about the fact that this? Sometimes I don't think he appreciates you. Whatever, the proxies that happen at siblings level, right? And then it happens in company, sports teams. Coach just doesn't, I don't know why he doesn't put you in the game more. I think he should. And boom, friction there. You move down one more. I got another spot to move up. Proxy at a higher level of countries that create proxy wars and instigate additional, like even right now, hey, there could be a potential nuclear attack and Russia's going to be behind it. Oh my God, Russia's really going to be behind it, but it's not really Russia. It's really internally being done that's using this or using that. Yeah. How do you, if any way, how do you size those up and how are those done?
Now we're talking at the level of like statecraft stuff and not really psyops. I don't really trust. If I hear multiple media outlets using the exact same messaging, instantaneously I don't trust it. So that's my go-to.
Number one,
if I'm hearing the same exact reporting from multiple different sources, it's automatic that something is being forced into the news instead of the news is reporting. So that's what I teach my kids. Are you hearing repeating or are you hearing reporting? Those are 2 different things. And have you seen that one? Have you seen that compilation of all those news aids?
Of course, yeah.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
I think it was Sinclair or something like that.
It's being fed from the top to them. Nowadays, more than ever, the brand you wear reflects and represents who you are. So for us, if you wear a Future Looks Bright hat or a Valuetainment gear, you're telling the world, I'm optimistic. I'm excited about what's going to be happening, but you're a free thinker. You question things. You like debate. And by the way, last year, 120,000 people got a piece of Future Looks Bright gear with Valuetainment. We have so many new things. The cufflinks are here. New Future Looks Bright. This is my favorite, the green one. Just yesterday, somebody placed an order for 100 of these. If you watch the PBD podcast, you got a bunch to choose from. White ones, black ones. If you smoke cigars and you come to our cigar lounge, we have this high quality lighter cutter and a holder for the cigars. We got sweaters with the Valuetainment logo on it. We got mugs. We got a bunch of different things. But if you believe the future looks bright, if you follow our content and what we represent with Valuetainment, with PBD Podcast, go to vtmerch.com. And by the way, if you order right now, there's going to be a special VT gift inside just for you. So again, go to vtmerch.com, place your order, tell the world that you believe the future looks bright. If you enjoyed this video, you want to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click here.